Yeah.
Yeah, man. So welcome to the Propaganda Expert Podcast. I forgot to tell you,
Ah,
it's called Propaganda Expert, the podcast. And I want your opinion because I don't really have any feedback on it yet. And the
okay.
feedback that I've gotten without being on the podcast has been, ooh, that's a bad word, propaganda. That's bad, right? And so my take on it is that propaganda it's a tool. It's
Mm-hmm.
been used in a negative way, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still being used. I mean, every commercial you see is some kind of propaganda telling you, hey, if you don't brush your teeth, you're gonna get cavities. Like,
Yeah.
so how do you feel about that? Like the propaganda is propaganda bad? I mean, and I don't mean it like in definition. I mean, like in your opinion, is it a bad thing?
Um, there's too much gray area with propaganda because it just depends on what it's used for. You know what I mean? I think for the most part, because of just human nature, I think most propaganda has ended up being a little bit negative because it's been used as a tool of control and to convince people of a certain mindset or rhetoric. Um, but I don't think propaganda is always bad because if you think about it, propaganda is how people banded together to start revolutions to overthrow tyrannical governments as well. You know what I mean? So propaganda isn't all bad because propaganda is what was used to get people to rally for a cause. Like technically, like you could consider people who run like organizations that are fundraising for good causes and they put all these ads out and flyers and stuff. Technically, that could be considered propaganda. That's just like there's a lot of negative connotation to it because the most majorly used propaganda has been all for like negative causes.
Yeah. Good point.
You know?
Good point. Like even the flyers,
Yeah.
hey, come to my show.
Right.
It's like
Technically marketing is propaganda and it's not a bad thing. Like if you're going out and giving flyers out and like you said, hey, come to my show or come to my class or whatever, check out my website, check out my music.
yeah.
It's kind of fall under the propaganda umbrella. It's marketing.
And that's the reason. And maybe we should start. Well, I think we already started, but let's introduce you. So,
Yeah.
uh, we have Brandon Beast Boy. Like, give him your name. Like, what's the name that you want to propagate?
Yeah, so my propaganda name is Brandon Juezan. In the dance world, I'm known as Beast Boy. Um, it's just a little part of my legal name. I don't use my full legal name
But
as
give
my.
him your social. I mean, nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, my social is seven. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, that's kind of the
So,
what I go by.
so basically, just to give you whoever is watching this, he's a dancer by talent, a businessman by learning, or I messed that up, but you know what I mean. He's a dancer, but he's also a business. Like, give us a little bit of your business background.
Yeah. So I actually went to business school and have a business degree versus, going to school for something more artistic, creative, going to school for dance. I actually went to school for business. And while being an artist, I was given opportunity to like run my own programs. So I kind of had to learn the ins and outs of like running your own um, program, and then I was given kind of more administrative opportunities to work for a dance company. Currently working for Versatile Dance Company, and I'm like an event producer now. I'm a tour manager. I help with back end business stuff, contracts, logistics, budgeting, administrative things. So, kind of knowing how to run a dance business has become a big part of my life versus just being the artist that gets to move. It's like, how do you make the ship run? And then, even for like my own self, knowing how to conduct business so I get booked for teaching and performing and doing my own thing. You know what I mean? You have to understand how to promote yourself and have good business work ethic in order to be successful. So that's kind of like my background and how I kind of took that into like an artistic field. something that I enjoy and I'm passionate about. It was just kind of like, I can't just show up and move and not know how to conduct like professional businesses and negotiation and, network and do all that,
That's very deep because I think a lot of young dancers that will watch this, mainly I know because I'm probably going to put some kind of clickbait kind of title on this video for young dancers to watch this.
Right.
Because I believe that the dance industry is so important, yet it's almost like the stepchild of all the other entertainment industry. It's like, oh, you're a singer. Yeah, you need backup dancers. Oh, you're a movie. Hey, you can, like it's never been like where, besides a few movies out there, dancing has never been like that.
It's not the actual pool. It's not the
Yeah.
forefront.
Like
Yeah.
selling the I don't know, an auditorium, not like crypto arena or whatever. And hey, such and such dance is gonna be here. I don't know how many people are gonna buy like high level tickets just to go see him dance.
Yeah.
Now, if you dance for Beyonce, they're gonna go see Beyonce. And see.
Right.
So, what do you think has been the missing factor of dancing not being one of those major attractors, even though it's like the most entertaining thing you can watch?
Yeah, dance. One thing about dance that I think has made it difficult for the average consumer is that it is very experiential. You have to put in the effort to go see it in person live to really feel it, to get into it, to be then like a fan of dance. If you just consume it on like, let's say on social media, you're only getting like 10-second clips, right? 15-second clips, 1-minute video. Whereas, going and watching an hour dance show is like more of a commitment, right? But then when it comes to like music, you can get into a 3-minute song and you can listen to that song anywhere at any time, right? You're not gonna really be able to get that same effect listening to watching a dance show, like on your phone or like just in passing versus listening to a song, right? So it's easier for people to get more like to get into music, or like the whole industry has been built around movies, right? It's easier for people to get into acting and seeing a storyline with a theme and dialogue, right? Versus dance is physical movement. There's not really dialogue, right? So there's the language is different. So you have to know how to interpret what is being expressed through the body language. And if your mindset isn't like focused on dissecting that, you're just going to be seeing a bunch of moving bodies, and you might be losing, or it might not draw you in the same way.
That's deep. So basically, like dance isn't something you can like take with you,
Yeah.
and consume while you're driving.
Exactly. So it's harder to consume, which makes less people buy into it. Whereas music or watching a quick video, like with dialogue, like you get all that you need to get from that in that convenient
Like when I'm
place.
driving, watching Netflix series, like like
Right.
oh, I'm the only one.
While he's watching a full Netflix series on the road.
Hey,
Right.
LA traffic, it allows you to do certain things, but what if I think it's been missing also like we have the Michael Jacksons that also were singers but I don't think dance has had a Michael Jordan. Like I'm talking about someone that just not just talent but just overall, for example, like a dancer that will dance and then like smack people in the audience. Like someone that's like, I gotta go to his concert. Like he goes crazy. Like all the dancers are like so passionate about the craft that they're very respectful. We need like a disrespectful dancer to just take dance to like, to like another level that's never
we
seen.
we need a dance Kanye.
Couldn't say it better.
You need to dance Kanye. Well, yeah. I mean, look, there's been a couple people in the industry or in the field who have kind of disrupted the narrative, but they don't really get known outside of the industry. I think the closest folks, and like, I wouldn't say they're necessarily Kanye, but they're like, you could say that for a lot of people, they're the Michael Jordans of dance, would be like the Le Twins from France. Like, they're probably the most widely known popular dancers, and even then a lot of people don't know them, but it's like literally these two tall, like skinny twins from France with like big curly hair, and they have been on TV, every TV show in different countries. Every dance film has them. They've toured with Beyonce, Madonna, all the biggest artists. Like, they teach classes and charge like a freaking $100 to take their class for like an hour, and 50 to 100 people in their class. Like, they're insane. And they're like the closest. They're like the closest that dance has to like those superstars. But even then, you have to have probably like run into one of their videos on social media and to be like, oh, okay. Because they've had a couple viral videos, which is part of why they got famous. But it's like, if you're not on social media like that, you're not gonna.
But is there money? You know, you brought up, you know, they charge it, and I know they probably make money in different ways. But in general, is there money in dance? Is it like a viable business by itself? Not class. I'm talking about just dance as a dancer.
Not long term. You can make some really good money for a certain season. Like, there's a lot of dancers who are like, you're hot for like a while. You become a big name. People want to book you. You'll make good money for a while. But you know, long term, 10, 15, 20 years from now, usually you have to transfer that talent and that experience into another related field to keep your income coming, because, you know, dancers get older, their bodies move a little bit differently, and especially if you have young artists that are coming up new, they're not going to want a dancer on stage next to them who looks 40. You know, when the next hot artist is 20 something, they don't want like a 40-year-old next to them. So so eventually through age, you kind of just get phased out of the industry. That's why a lot of the biggest dancers, once they are done being the star on stage, they become the choreographer, they become the creative director, they start their own companies, like they start working as producers in TV. Like, that's the path that most dancers go over time.
Makes sense. And
You know what I mean?
about that, like, who do you think? And this is all subjective. I mean, but are there old dancers that are still doing it? Like,
Yeah. There's like a lot of
and, you know, let me rephrase old, because I think sometimes it's easy to go into 40's old or 30, but like, you don't see many older dancers. You know, like.
Yeah, well, so at least specifically in like kind of the hip hop region of dance, we have like cultural OGs who are in their 50s getting into their 60s. Like, these are like the OG poppers and lockers and hip hop dancers, and
they're still getting it.
And some of them are still getting it. Some of them are still getting booked to like teach in other countries. And even here in the States, some of them are getting booked to choreograph for some artists. Like Popping Pete, he's in his, you know, he's like in his 60s, but like, you know, 10 years ago he was choreographing for Chris Brown still.
Wow.
You know, in his 50s. Like, so there's, you know, and then like some of like my OGs who taught me, they were like some of Michael Jackson's backup dancers back in the day. And they still go and teach. You know, they'll teach the style that they choreographed and they taught Michael for his videos and stuff. So there are still OGs out there who are like much older who are still doing it, but you know, they're hustling still. It's not like one of those incomes where they can just kind of like
People calling them.
Yeah. It's like, you know, a lot of people do hit them up, but it's just like they can't just kind of coast and just like, oh, I'm gonna just chill out. I know like the money's flowing in, you know, it's not like it's like a retirement. And they're just kind of doing it on their free time. Like, they're still hustling. They're still promoting classes every week.
Which is no retirement in dancing.
Yeah.
If you're
a full-time dancer, there's pretty much no retirement unless you have the business finance mind and you set yourself up with your income. Like, you know, I put something aside for my dance income.
You got a Roth IRA.
I got a Roth IRA.
Which most dancers probably don't get.
I'm 90% sure that most dancers don't have it, and I just know from my experience, because with all of the information that we have now in this internet age, still a lot of my folks, like a lot of my friends or whatever, don't have retirement accounts.
Well, when you're making a certain income, and you need that income because you already owe that income for pay rent or whatever, it's hard to put it in the Roth IRA when it's like the landlord wants to put it in his Roth IRA. You know, it's so
Yeah.
It's not to anyone's fault, but you know, if whoever is into dancing is you gotta love it. Like I don't do it for the money.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it 100%. Granted, you need to pay dancers more, right? Because half the time, dancers are the entertainment and the stars of your show, but you pay them like they're just back end.
That's another deep issue. I didn't know this. Okay.
So that's another layer. But yes, you also, it's one of those things where you just gotta be passionate about it, because you can be passionate about like a lot of other things. And like, let's say you're super passionate about being an athlete and playing a sport, and you become top of the line. Well, if you become a top of the line athlete and you're a competitive athlete, you're making millions of dollars, right? You become a top of the line like artist, music artist, you're making millions of dollars. You become a top of the line actor, you're making millions of dollars. You become a top of the line dancer, you'll be lucky if you make six figures.
Wow. So but you know the payment also, because I think it's a business again.
Yeah.
Everything is business related. It's about dancers thinking, well, let me take this gig because I need the money.
Yeah.
And not holding back to go, you know, I'm worth more than that. Right? Because how do you even do that?
And that's one of the things that has been an issue in the industry for a while. Like, we do have a dancers union, but it's not that, unfortunately, like the people who are running it, they're really like, I believe in what they're doing, but it's not that strong because so many dancers are so desperate to make money that they're willing to undercut and like cut themselves short. I'm not part of the union. No, I'm not part of the union. Thankfully, I'm like, I don't work heavy in like commercial dance. Like my current field is in a separate, like it's in concert dance, which is a little bit different. But eventually I'm working my way to get more commercial experience. But like,
can anyone join the union, or is it kind of like exclusive to certain people that have experience?
Nah, from what I know, I think the dancers, it's called Dancers Alliance. From what I know, like it's open to everybody.
So I can join the union. I'm not even a dancer.
Well, I think
if I pay the dues.
Maybe
maybe I could be a dancer.
I have to look into that more, because again, I'm not part of the union, so I have to look into the actual details of it. But I know like Dancers Alliance has fought for like minimums, like anytime you book a dancer, they should be getting paid at least this, like for this amount of time. This is what should be in the contract, XYZ.
Which no one respects, because
like, nobody respects.
I produce stuff and I didn't even know there were minimums.
Yeah. So like a lot of people don't even respect it and take it seriously, which is because also the dancers union isn't like a SAG-AFTRA. Like if you do SAG-AFTRA, you're like, oh, you know, like a multi-million-dollar organization is going to come for you if you don't.
Which SAG-AFTRA should really take a dancers union into their wings.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think SAG-AFTRA does have a lot of dancers, but these are also dancers that also end up working kind of like as they're also actors, they're also singers. Like, but SAG-AFTRA does have dancers, but also the barrier to entry for SAG-AFTRA is so much higher because most dancers can't afford to pay a $3,000 membership annually for a union.
Yeah, they're not making that kind of money.
They're not making that kind of money to put $3,000 aside. Like, some of them who like are able to do it and really like strike it big, then yeah, they can afford it. And a lot of times, again, they end up doing other things and expanding, but most dancers can't afford that $3,000 a year.
Well, now you know, dancers, if someone says, "Hey, come dance at my show for a sandwich,"
don't do it, because that just sets the bar so low. Now everybody else is gonna expect. Yeah. Well, this person was doing it for a sandwich, so you should be doing it for a sandwich too.
Not only a sandwich, you should do it with a sandwich without any kind of meat.
With no condiments.
Yes, exactly.
No sauce.
And then someone is like, you should do it for a sandwich with one slice of bread. You know, and it keeps going down. No,
and it'll keep stacking down. The more dancers are so desperate to make an income that they're willing to cut themselves short like that. So that's one of the main issues that's been happening. Like, we can ask for like, oh, we want a $500 minimum for a, XYZ hour shoot. But then if everybody is finding these local dancers who are like, I'll do it for $150, I'll do it for $200. Like, yeah, of course they're gonna want to hire.
Some people do it for free for the exposure.
For free exposure. Like, if of course someone's gonna want to choose the person who's gonna do it for free or for $100 for a 12-hour shoot.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas like, nah, for a 12-hour shoot, you should be making what? At least minimum 25, 30, 40 bucks an hour, right? That's not going to equal $100 after 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Like
business
if you're
again.
getting $50 an hour, you should be getting paid what, $600 after a 12-hour shoot. Like
It's business again.
that's
It
business.
all always comes back to the business. So just to pivot a little bit, because what I'm trying to do here is go deep into the marketing of uh, different industries, right? So, you know, I've worked with a lot of different industries and a lot of people in different industries in the marketing aspects, and I notice similarities and I notice things that are kind of common in all of them, and then I notice things that are very unique to certain industries. And one thing that I notice about the dancing industry is that the marketing is all over the place. There's no, like, dancers have, unless you know someone, it's hard to market yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're connected with Versus Style. You grew up in dancing, so you know dancers. People hit you up, hey, I got this gig, come do it. You're connected. But if you were not, let's say me, I want to just, start dancing. There's no way to start. There's no marketing. What do I place a Facebook ad? Like, hey, I'm a dancer, I'm available. What do you think about the marketing for dancers, and what are some of the tips that you could give someone that wants to market themselves and be found, like, that is not connected? I mean, they're in Nebraska, in the middle of nowhere. There is no dance anything, and they want to dance. So
Yeah.
what do you say are things that work for you?
If you, yeah, so especially right now, it's a different, like if you were to ask me this question 10, 15 years ago when I was first starting, like it would be a completely different answer, but it'd be a lot, I think it would be a lot tougher. But now, if you are not in a place where you can network and be in the know, then it's about creating your online like portfolio. Like the way like models create like an online portfolio of their shoots and how they look and everything. Dancers need to basically create online portfolios, whether it's your social media page, whether you have an actual website, whatever it is. That is how you market yourself with your work. Film your work. Film your, if you want to get hired as a teacher for a certain dance style, film yourself and your technique and your abilities in that dance style. If you want to be a choreographer, you have to film your choreography and post it online, and or post yourself teaching choreography to like a small group of friends, and like you have to just keep generating that content over and over and over and pushing that content, because that's what's then going to start having people interested in what you do, right?
So look, you the portfolio, I think it is very common sense. It's kind of like, well, yeah, you need to show you what you do.
Yeah.
But do you think the technology has changed where is it better to invest on a website or to develop, let's say, an Instagram or a social media page? What do you think works best? Because just to tell you where my question is coming from, as someone that hires artists, I seldom go to their site. I seldom go to their website.
Yeah.
And I find myself looking at them in their environment, in Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. I want to see what they do in their everyday life. I want to kind of get a feel for them. And I feel the website is almost like propaganda where you're going to give me the best of you, obviously.
Yeah,
You're going to give
yeah,
me the
yeah,
best.
yeah.
But I want to see those clips that are off. What do you say in today's day and age? How important is a website, Brandon.com or beastboy.com, as opposed to your Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is?
Yeah, for the most part, you won't, unless you want that extra step, an extra level of professionalism that's more concise and more polished, then your social media is enough. So many dancers have blown up and filled classes from posting like TikToks that went viral, or Instagram videos of their choreography they made at home and just did with some friends, and people were like, dude, that piece was sick. I would love to learn it. And then they're like, well, I'm going to teach it at this class. And then that class gets packed. And then it keeps going and going. So social media for dancers right now is like the main form of marketing. And you just got to get really good at social media and posting.
What
If you
about
want.
hashtags? Do you use hashtags in your stuff?
I do use hashtags, yeah, for a lot of my.
Some people say it's like, oh, hashtags don't even work anymore.
Yeah, hashtags, it depends. Like, I think for me, sometimes hashtag works, especially if you do something that's very on trend and there's a hashtag that gets connect to something that's trending at the time, like a trending song, a trending dance challenge, a trending dance style, whatever it may be. Sometimes those hashtags can work. Like there's some hashtags
Do
like if
you
you,
have a hashtag you made up a word that you always put in all your posts, or do you use just the trending hashtags in like dance or?
I usually put. I mean, and it hasn't necessarily. I don't know how much of that specific. I haven't looked into how much of that specific hashtag has like came back to like generating insights on my page, but I usually hashtag my name, Beast Boy.
So hashtag Beast Boy.
Yeah,
So
with an I. So I usually do hashtag Beast Boy with an I, and if you were to look that up, you'd probably see a bunch of my videos. But yeah, it's usually like based on the dance that you're doing. Like if you're teaching someone, hashtag dance teacher, dance instructor, or whatever, dance mentor. Or if you're a hip hop dancer like I am, hashtag hip hop dance, hashtag dance video. Like just the more generalized ones that are gonna get more of a broad audience to funnel to you. But once you start wanting marketing your business, creating your own specific hashtag that people can find you from, it could have some effect especially if you promote it. Like, like if I teach on my own, book my own gig, and I say like, follow me at my handle Beast Boy the hype god. Social media is so like oversaturated as it is that a hashtag alone won't do it. You have to like brand and promote the hashtag itself if you want people to like generate clicks on that. And then over time, maybe that hashtag could
so
do something.
how do
But
you stand out then? How do you? There are a lot of dancers. So I try to follow only the. I'm a dance. I love dance, right? I'm a fan of dance, but I think I like to follow people that impact me. They're not necessarily like famous, but just I may see one dance and go, "Wow, who's this person?" Right? And then I I feel like I don't know how to find the dance that I like. I don't like all dance. I don't
yeah,
like, for example, there's a lot of what do you call that dance when you're like in your feelings and stuff like expression.
contemporary modern or like what is it?
Where you're like, we're like they're giving you a movie.
Interpretive dance.
I, hey, I know. By the way, I'm not putting it down at all because I don't put it down any artist. But there's some dance that doesn't resonate with me. I grew up. I'm a little older. I grew up, with hip hop and like these dance moves popping, and I didn't do it, but that's what I enjoyed. So
Yeah.
when I see kind of like I'm a tree and I'm in my feelings, and then they want you to understand that their father left when they were young. It's like, I don't have time. You know what I mean? Well, you know what that dance meant? It's like, no, my father left me when I was young, so I interpreted that pain. It's like, no, no, just do some cool stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
And that's what I was talking about. That's why dance is hard. That's why dance is like the when it comes to artistic side, artistic industry, it's like usually the bottom of the barrel because a lot of dancers try to express themselves that way, and it's like for a non-dancer, it's like I don't get it, dude. It's like when you go to an art gallery and like all the art enthusiasts are like, wow, this artist, they were thinking this, they were feeling this, and then you look at the painting, you're like, it's a line with like three dots.
yes.
You're like, what is this line and three dots meant to represent? Like, but then all the art enthusiasts who are in the industry know exactly what that line and three dots mean.
But the thing is, when I see a
So
painting like that, right, like just some paint splatter, right, and people think it's genius, I see a part of it like it is genius because that dude just splattered some paint. And he's getting paid off of some.
and he sold that for like six,
Yeah,
7 grand, like
that's
6, 7
genius.
figures for
Forget
one painting.
the interpretation. That's genius,
That's
right?
true. We
But
can't sell what we do like
no, I
that.
think half of the time I'm getting BS. Like the
Yeah.
truth. Like I think, oh look. It's like I think you just didn't choreograph something. You know what I mean? Like I think you just like and
They,
no, and I don't mean to insult because I also don't want to like put down something I don't understand. But I think sometimes it's like you gotta put in that work and like
Oh yeah. Oh no, I've experienced a lot of BS. I've experienced so much BS dance that these choreographers and directors claim that the is so much deeper than it is, but when you look at the work, you're like, this looks like you put no effort into it. Like you have one dancer just standing in the corner doing this
Yes.
for like half of the song, and then you're like, oh, this is what it's
Yes.
supposed to represent. It's like
Yeah.
you have three dancers on stage, and one of them is only doing this for about two
Yes.
minutes of the 4 minute piece.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. So
so I get it.
going back to marketing on
Yeah.
that, right? So how do you? Oh, that's what that was the question. Like, how do you stand out? Like, okay, there's a million dance. I can look up as a non-dancer. I'm not going to use the term like interpret it or whatever the dance terms. I may use crunk. I may use popping, things that I've heard. I think so. If you're not that, or maybe you've evolved from that, how do you stand out to not just the dance community, but to the people that are maybe looking for you? How do you connect with those people with your style of dance when they don't know the terms? They didn't go to art school. They don't know. It's like I just like it when they do this. But how do you do that in marketing? How do you market yourself to those people?
It's hard to do it like strictly from online because again, like it's so oversaturated. So yeah, like if folks don't know how to find you online, but they just like saw something they thought was cool, if you just click hashtag dance, you're gonna get 100 million people, right? That might do something completely separate from you or something that looks like you. So really, like it's about kind of putting the work in the field and like going out and connecting with the general audience, like the public, and not just sticking to your like little dance scene and dance community. Like you have to find opportunities for work where you're like in front of people who don't know dance, right? And then and you have to be doing that for years and get your name out constantly, and then like kind of create then a brand for yourself that people can tell others about. Like that's usually how you have to do it. Like you gotta go to schools and teach kids and tell them like, oh, this is the name of me and this is my dance style, this is my group, or this is my brand. Like if you like this, tell your friends, tell this, and then that word of mouth spreads out among the community. Cause yeah,
So
on
word of mouth is the dancer's friend. Is that what you're saying? Like, is
Yeah,
that the main?
so one of the biggest things in the dance industry and the community is networking and word of mouth, like of who you know. I know that's like that with a lot of industries, like especially creative industries, but like really in dance, like so many of my friends get booked not because of like this just random viral video that everybody saw, or not just because like they went to a bunch of auditions and they finally booked that gig with Beyonce. It was like, nah, like Beyonce's creative director knows who you are because you were in a space years back and you killed it, and they've been watching you for years and they're like, I want that guy. You know what I mean? Like that's how it works a lot. And then from there, obviously, once you get the huge platform of being a backup dancer, or starting your own brand, or like having choreography that a bunch of people like and your classes being full, then it's gonna be easier to get your name out because then you can just be like, you can just say, oh yeah, my name is XYZ. Somebody somewhere is gonna know that. Tell somebody else, and when they look up your name, they're gonna see 100,000 followers, 200,000 followers, and then it's gonna just like, poof.
Got it.
But yeah, like really, obviously, doing good work, right? And then doing good work and getting out there and networking within circles in multiple different spaces. Don't just stick with like the friends you're comfortable with. Like you have to go to a lot of different spaces. Like the way I got booked for to be an instructor on Steezy Studios, which is like the biggest online dance platform. Right now, it's like an app that has like tens of thousands of users, like hundreds and hundreds of dance tutorials. Like the way I got that is because I joined other dance groups, and it just and like got to know people and danced next to them and spent time training with them, and so happened that one of the dance groups I joined, one of the dancers from there left the group and became the founder of this online platform, right? And then saw my and been my friend, saw my work over the years, and they're like, you'd be a perfect teacher for this platform. So now I'm on that platform, right? But that was like me. If I was just stuck to like
Your
my circle,
click,
my
yeah.
clique, like the people who like I spent most of my time with dancing, and I didn't go out and expand and try to be in different spaces, like that probably would never happen for
Wow.
me, right?
So um, and just to just kind of, because whoever's watching this is probably trying to figure out how to grow. I think that that's what
Yeah.
everyone is looking for, and I just never seen. And again, the algorithm is weird now. It's not like before, but I never seen an ad for a dancer. Someone says, "Hey, I'm a dancer. Follow me," or "I'm a dancer." Now it depends on your search. Obviously, it's
Right.
so specific nowadays. All I get is these girls in bikinis. I don't know why I only look for banking information, but those they come up. Like all these, like no lie, like all these girls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like yeah, I probably clicked on something at some point, but the algorithm doesn't know what's good or bad. They just whatever you're watching, they're just gonna give you more of that. I don't watch enough dancing to get suggested
Mhm.
dance videos, but you that do watch dancing and you're into the world, do you get any kind of videos that are about um, dancing, like dancers promoting themselves?
No, not really. Like dances, cause
What do you get in your timeline?
yeah, like when it comes to dancers, it's usually just footage of their work. Like most dancers mostly just post what they choreographed, their freestyle round, a clip from the performance they did, or just, some dancers like to do other things to show like their life, like, oh yeah, I'm on vacation here, I'm on a boat,
Have you ever put
I'm a model, whatever.
Have you ever put it in an ad? Have you ever placed an ad?
I haven't put a video ad, but I've done flyers. So
Oh,
I've
oh, flyers, yeah,
yeah.
well, now we know digital. That flyer that took you so long to print and to take it, with a click of a button, you can be in front of whoever,
Right.
you know. But in general, like, have you ever placed an ad for you, like, hey, I'm Beast Boy, you know, follow my page or whatever?
Not, I haven't done a paid ad like that. Yeah, I haven't done a paid ad. I've posted on my story like my my reels because I have reels created of like my performance reels and my teaching reels, and then obviously my caption. I'm like explain what I've done, and if you're interested in booking me, blah blah blah. But for the algorithm or like paid branding ads that like randomly pop up on people's feeds, I haven't done that. And usually like you have to, especially if you're trying to push your own business, you have to put a marketing budget
Yeah,
aside to just try and like,
like $5,
yeah, put
like.
some money into it, and then just be like, hey, book me, whatever. I do the XYZ. And then, again, this is why it's good to have like footage and have like your page be a portfolio of your work. So if someone sees your ad, clicks the video, goes to your page, sees all this cool stuff you do, then they can be like, oh yeah, I want to book this person.
Do you suggest having two pages, like one personal and one for your dancing?
Yeah, I usually always, especially if you have your own brand, I always suggest separating them. Um,
Because if I'm following a dancer, I don't want to see a sandwich in the next post. Because like,
right,
hey,
yeah.
bro.
So like because I've worked for a company and I've like had other types of businesses that I've like dabbled into, I've had like multiple pages that I've been running, and some of them I kind of let go of and some of them I still have, and it's like um at some point it gets hard to manage if you have multiple pages and you don't have like a team to help you manage them. But generally, like, yeah, it's always smart to be like, okay, this is just dance and this is personal stuff. Like my
I just
page
got a
has,
puppy.
yeah,
Like
like my page has always been blended, and I tried to actually like separate it for a while, and it was just like really hard to transfer my following over. But I know as I grow as like an individual artist, I'm going to start like focusing just on the dance. And most of my page is dance. I'll occasionally post like travel, like, but I don't post like, oh, I just went out to eat kind of footage. It's more like I traveled to this place on vacation, and that's or maybe I connected with a dancer out there. Like that's kind of part of my brand. But yeah, having separate content, separate pages, focus on different things is always smart. You know what I mean? Like keep your dance page dance, so anytime people go and click your page, they see a dancer.
See portfolio, yeah.
It's your portfolio.
So
So
that's a good tip. So man, thank you so much. These are good tips because even though it seems conversational, I think someone's that's been or is in the position where you were, as a younger dancer and trying to figure it out. Where I think what we can take from this is that at the end of the day, it's gonna relate to business
yeah,
somehow, whether it be your retirement, whether it be how much you charge, what it's all. At some point, you have to you can't just be an artist and just randomly live
yeah.
life.
Oh yeah, learn financial literacy. Like
So, which is something you do too, right? Like,
I do, I do. I'm trying to get more licensing to teach it a little bit deeper, but yeah, I've taught like I talked to a lot of dancers about financial literacy. Like learn financial literacy because where a lot of dancers have failed was relying strictly on their talent. Maybe they booked a big tour, maybe they got hot for a second, and then once they dropped out of that hot season, they had nothing. Why? Because they blew their whole bag. They didn't know how to reinvest in their business. They didn't know how to take the money they made and create something that would generate more income for them as an artist. They just were just spent it all on flashy stuff to just look like an artist, and then they
yeah,
lost everything.
like what
So
rappers do,
but
but
what a lot of rappers do.
yeah,
So,
but
but the difference is some of those rappers, most of those rappers, even if they are one hit wonder, they make millions of dollars off that one hit. Dancers never make millions of
yeah, you don't get
dollars.
the residual income that
We don't get the residuals like that of a tour or whatever. Like you might get paid 60, 70, 100 grand from a huge tour with some big artists. Great, good for you. But if you didn't budget right, and if that artist stops booking you after 3 years, you're gonna blow through that and have nothing.
yeah, especially
So,
today.
especially
Well,
yeah,
well, I'm
exactly.
gonna give dancers a little bit of marketing. I call it propaganda because it really is about what propaganda comes from when the church wanted to propagate
Mhm.
the word of God. It created, and propaganda comes even before that. But I'm saying that's when it will officially, literally, the church created, the Catholic Church created a propaganda department where they're like, okay, how are we going to do this? And they thought about how they're going to propagate the word of God, right? But that's where the word propaganda comes from. But even the caveman, like they have propaganda where those dinosaurs that painted on the cave or the tiger was to let people know, hey, there's a tiger out there. Like,
Yeah.
don't go out there. But in today's day and age, you can use the tool in a positive way. Obviously, you don't want to use it to hurt people, but to help yourself, repetition is one of the keys of propaganda.
Mhm.
It's just repetition. Repetition is what politicians do. They'll say the same thing over and over again to where it becomes true.
Yeah.
It starts as a lie, and they say it so much that it's like, well, you start doubting it. Maybe it is true. Next, thing you know, you believe it.
Mhm.
The news do it. Everyone does it. You can use those tools for you. Where okay, I believe if a dancer um, was to oh good, it's just a low power. But if a dancer was to place an ad, not selling a class, not selling anything, just saying, hey, I'm a dancer. I love what I do. Follow me. I think a lot of people will follow them. I think a lot of people, the best of people is to follow the underdog, to follow the people that are doing something different. So I believe advice for dancers is, put $5, save on a Starbucks cup and put $5 that'll go a long way. I think you can put minimum like $1 a day or something like that, right? Put $1 a day on just you, start with some dancing and then go, hey, I'm such and such, and I'm a dancer. Follow me. Like I would really appreciate it. Like really heartfelt. Like I'm not selling you anything. Like I just want to express my whatever it is, express myself. I think people will follow that person, and I think it's a niche that no one's doing because most
Mhm.
dancers are um, probably doing other things, or they're selling a class, or they're probably doing something that requires people to put their credit card number. I was like, you don't need to do anything. I just would appreciate you as a follower, and you could probably go a long way with $5, 5 days, and maybe venture it out. That's one tip. The other tip that I want to give about how you can use some of the propaganda tools to to sort of push your career in whatever it is that there's repetition, and there's also something that rap did a lot, and maybe this is a little bit more controversial, but beefs, right?
Mm.
They're so fake. You know, nowadays it's like every rapper's, oh, I'm beefing. But rappers did it back then to create that hype. Obviously, it went sour a lot of times and it got out of hand. But actually, before we go, are there dance beefs? Are there dances that are beefing?
Occasionally, yeah, but a lot of times it's so personal between like two people, and most people don't care, and like maybe it'll culminate in like, oh, these two people are gonna battle, and then it becomes like an event.
Yeah.
Like that's happened a couple of times. Like if anybody, if actual dancers are here, like look up the Fiction versus J Rock battle. That was like a big beef thing that happened a couple of years ago, and it was just a hilarious situation. And it but ended up being a whole event, like a literal event was planned, so these
Yes.
two dudes could just settle this. So it happens eventually, occasionally, but it's not at the same level as obviously rappers, because rappers have also this big public like lens and interviews, and people, you know, like they can really talk their shit
Yeah.
like publicly. Whereas dancers, if you're not really in the dance space, you don't know who these people are, you don't care. But I think generating hype around what you do is important, and maybe beef might not be beef isn't as effective in dance because again a lot of people don't care
Well,
about
Michael
it.
Jackson started a whole beef. Wasn't he? His videos, like they were like this, like gangster, right? And then
All
he
right.